Coming up on the Greg and Tim Show podcast.
And I'm going to guarantee a Blue Jay win.
And why?
You didn't tell me there'd be a why.
Get a ball, and gone.
I have to come prepared, because if I don't, I know that the king will overtake my segment.
Am I the king?
The king. Greg the king.
Get your earballs ready, and welcome back to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
Well, welcome to the Greg and Tim Show, the podcast where we talk about everything and anything
That interests us.
And I mean anything.
So today we have a special podcast. Obviously, we're in a car. We're in the backseat of a car.
We're in a totally different place. We're usually in our studio, our high-tech studio, and we've taken our studio.
Very expensive studio.
We've taken our studio.
Rent is through the roof.
And we've brought it into Greg's backseat of his vehicle.
So why are we in the backseat of the car today?
Well, Greg, we are on our way to Minneapolis to watch the Toronto Blue Jays play Game 2 of the Wild Card Series against the Minnesota Twins.
Yes.
And we are driving there, and we're driving straight back.
So we lost Game 1.
We did lose Game 1, 3-1.
Was not great.
Unfortunately, yes.
And by the time this is uploaded, we will know whether or not the Jays have won Game 2 and Game 3.
Right. But you know what, Greg?
I don't.
I have a way to guarantee that we will win Game 2.
I hope you're right.
And that is if I guarantee that we lose Game 2, the opposite will happen. So live here, or pre-taped as it were, per se, I'm going to guarantee, I'm going to look the viewer in the eyes, and I'm going to guarantee a Blue Jay win in Game 2 of the Wild Card Series in Minnesota.
Right in their eyes.
Right in their eyes. I can see you, Adam.
Yes. But we have a jam-packed episode today. We got to buckle up, literally, because we got Matthew driving us around.
Matthew's a fantastic driver. And we didn't mention, but yes,
Billy's gone today because
Billy is under the weather.
So we have Matthew driving us to Minneapolis, and he's kind of a little bit off the road.
Hopefully we get there.
My tires will thank me when I start driving again myself, because they won't be rubbing against the road.
If tires could talk.
Good. What? If tires could talk. Oh, man. So, yeah, we're going to hit this epic road trip, and we're still going to have the classics, though.
Yeah.
We got something about Tim coming up.
And then we have something special for the viewer after that.
Something special. And then we've got the classic, something about Tim. He says he brought something great. So we'll see about that.
I did this time because I'm now terrified, because the last time Greg took over my segment, because he said the last one I did was not interesting.
It wasn't.
Even
though mine was interesting.
And so he hijacked it last week. So I have to come prepared, because if I don't, I know that the king will overtake my segment.
Am I the king?
The king. Greg the king.
The king, okay. And finally, we're going to top it right off. We're going to top it off with the topic of the day. We're going to dive into the topic of the day today, Tim. And the topic of the day today is, drum roll please first. Not a drum roll.
What kind of is a drum roll?
Matthew's giving me a drum roll from the front seat.
It's how far would you go to see your team play, and to see them either play in a big game, a championship, so on and so forth.
And how much you would spend.
And how much you would spend for that ticket to see. So we'll share our opinions and recommendations for what we would do.
Yeah, and we're going to share what we did for this one.
Yeah.
Because this is the wild card game, and the Jays are playing, and we're doing this on a budget. On a very strict budget.
That's correct. I haven't spent a penny, and we've been on the road for
You literally haven't. You do owe me some money. Okay, well, let's grab our drinks.
Yeah, let's grab our drinks, and we're going to toast.
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers. We have our water. We are not sponsored by Kirkland.
We're not sponsored by Kirkland.
We could be if anyone from Kirkland Universe would like to contact us.
If Costco Enterprises would like to contact us. Matthew does spend a whole year's salary there every week.
every single week, and Carla brings it back the week after.
Returns it.
So, let's roll.
Let's roll. Roll that intro music, Tim.
Grab your phone, it's podcast time. It's the Greg and Tim Show. It's the Greg and Tim Show.
Okay. So, Tim, we are in the car, and as we said, we're going to the Jays game. Why have we chosen to go to this game?
Well, obviously Minnesota is close, 7 hours from our home in Winnipeg. We were up. I was up at 4 this morning, and I think you were up.
I was up at
messaged
4 as
me
well.
a few minutes before 4, I think.
Probably.
How did you sleep last night, by the way?
I slept very well. Matthew, on the other hand, sleeps like a Matthew.
For me, it's funny because at 10 o'clock I rolled into bed and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to.
You were
And then all of a sudden it was 3:15. I have to use the bathroom and I was like, I don't think I can fall back. And so I slept great. So
awesome.
and usually on trips I do have a hard time because I'm excited about the trip.
Yeah.
I just I don't really fall asleep all that well, but last night I did.
I got 6 hours. I got like a thing that tells me how much I slept and everything. I got 6 hours of sleep, so that's good. I went to bed at 9:15.
You have a thing that tells you?
Yeah, it's my ring, not sponsored by Aura Ring either.
Right.
So it tells me how much I slept. I slept for 6 hours. It was a decent sleep, better than most. But not better than most, but better than most times that I go on a trip. But I'm ready for this one. This is going to be an exciting trip. We are driving all the way there to go to the game. We're going to get there about 2 hours before the game. Then we're driving all the way home right after it.
Yeah, so we're going to get back around 2 in the morning, give or take.
Yeah, and we left at 5 in the morning.
So we're going to document and show you clips from the trip, from when we started, which was very, very dark in the morning, to when we get back, and it'll be very, very dark in the next morning.
So stay tuned for that video. That video will be a separate one, and maybe we'll show some of it during the podcast here. But that'll be a full documentation full of Tim's push-ups. I'm at
30.
You're at 30.
I stopped at Target in Fargo, and
you did an extra 10.
And I did 30 at Fargo.
You did 30 in Fargo.
I only have 20
on the
left.
ground, on the dirty ground.
That's fine.
Did you wash your hands?
I'm outside. Where would I wash my hands? Do you have a fountain here? Should you want to pour some of those Kirkland water over my hands?
Yeah. We're going on a sports trip. But generally, you go on any kind of trip, right? Like you go on sports, you go on concerts, you go on...
So we, as a family, or I'll say me, myself, I can't speak for my whole family.
No.
But I love going to concerts and sporting events.
Okay. So between those two, what are your favorites?
Specifically for each, or which is my favorite between going to see concerts versus sports?
What do you prefer? Do you prefer concerts or do you prefer sports?
You know what? I have to say concerts.
Really?
And I think I don't know if I said this in a previous episode, but I don't think so. So I tend to, anyways, if it's my team, I get very into the game, and you kind of get nervous. If it's a big game, you really want your team to win. Like in the Grey Cup in Calgary, when we beat Hamilton for most of the game, the outcome was kind of up in the air until the fourth quarter. And so you kind of spend the game a little bit nervous, and sometimes your team doesn't win. Yeah. And so that can affect the trip. You'll say things like, "Well, the trip was fun, but we didn't win." It does impact the trip. Of course, it's better if you do win, right? Yeah. But for a concert,
you prefer
the same songs will get played, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to hear "Rocket Man" by Elton John by the end of it, right?
So I agree.
Totally wrong note.
Totally wrong note.
Sorry, Justin.
And
Time.
Not Elton John. But
I
kind of agree with you.
Rocket Man's Elton John.
Yes, but you're not.
Oh, right.
I kind of agree with you. Our last trip in Minneapolis was at the end of August, I believe. We went for a concert and a sporting event, and I think the best part about that sporting event was that I didn't care which team won.
So like I often will like to go to a game where my teams, I don't have any skin in the game.
Just to go and see a stadium, just to go and
Yeah,
see the
you're just having a good
the
time.
area.
You're not like, oh, my team has to win. Oh,
Yeah.
if they don't win, oh my, whatever, right?
yeah.
But so I kind of don't mind that. You're quite a bit more relaxed. So I'm picking concerts in that one. And then the second question that we had here was, so what are some of your favorite teams, by the way?
So I have a few that are my favorite teams. So Jays, obviously for baseball, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for football, the Winnipeg Jets for hockey, and basketball would be the Toronto Raptors, I guess. Yeah. Because they're the Canadian Toronto Raptors, Toronto Blue Jays. They're the Canadian teams. They're Canada's team.
And typically the biggest games are obviously in the playoffs. So do you remember maybe one or two memories of the playoff games that you've been to? Maybe let me ask you this: your favorite playoff memory in any sporting event? Tell me that.
My favorite playoff memory. So the Grey Cup will be forever the greatest.
Yeah.
Because the Bombers broke the drought.
Yeah.
Got 29 years. The drought was broken. So
let's assume
that
that's
was
number
my
one.
favorite.
Let's
But
outside
I'm
of
gonna
that
go
one.
with number two, because number two is actually my first. So I took a last minute trip to Toronto back in 2015 for the playoffs. Jose Bautista hit that home run. They went to the second round
with the bat
against-
flip.
with the bat flip.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Okay.
But I went to the next round against Kansas City. I bought tickets right after that happened. I went to the next round, flew out there, and I saw R.A. Dickey absolutely get destroyed by the Kansas City Royals. And I was like, I flew all the way to Toronto for this. It was not fun. It was not great. They got destroyed. I called Lorraine after the game, my wife after the game, and I said, I'm not coming home. I'm going to game 4. So I bought a ticket to game 4. Yeah. I stayed one more day. I changed my flight, and I didn't come home when I was supposed to.
And did they win game 4?
They did. Marco Estrada pitched. Tulowitzki had a huge double. It was a blast. Like game 4 was like such a different experience, and it actually, I'm so glad I stayed for the second game, because the first game was such a downer. Like the crowd wasn't into it. They were losing by a lot. The second game gave me a totally different experience for this game, and to see that crowd, that electric and that crazy, that was almost like, you can almost compare it to when we saw that home opener in Toronto, when the Toronto Blue Jays came back.
Yeah.
Like, except like probably like 5 times more, because it was the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah. How about you? What was your favorite playoffs?
The two events I spoke of for sporting, I think was the episode before this one, were the Grey Cup that we both agree is the top for us, 2019, and the other one was the World Juniors 2004. But if I were to pick a playoff game outside of those, it would have been when the Cowboys were playing in Minnesota at the Metrodome.
Okay.
It was, I can't remember what year it was, but Tony Romo versus Brett Favre, and Favre just lit it up, 35-3. I think he threw 5 touchdown passes. I was in the end zone. The Metrodome, the crazy thing about the Metrodome is now that they built huge ballparks and the sound can kind of travel, it's loud, but it's not the same as it used to be. When
the Metrodome was a loud
park. These big concrete slabs, like I know the Winnipeg Arena, we had one of the best examples. Yeah. The sound had nowhere to go, and it just was so loud. And the Metrodome is one of those places where when it got rocking, you just don't, you can't have that kind of noise anymore. It was so loud. And again, 35-3, it was awesome.
And that's much to Matthew's disapproval for your favorites.
Yeah, Matthew could have went to that game. They had a trip planned for the Giants game, the last game of the year, and I said, Matthew, change plans. They're playing the Cowboys. They're playing the next week in Minnesota for that playoff game, and
he's probably happy he changed his plans.
To this day, I think he chose not to go because he knew they were going to get shellacked, and he didn't want to see the Cowboys lose.
Oh, that Romo.
So that's my favorite playoff memory. So now let's talk about cost. Let's talk about price. I have my answer to this question, but let's start with you.
You want to dive into that topic right now?
Right now. How much would you pay?
Yeah.
How much would you pay? And I know you've already done this, but for a game, World Series game, what's your price level? How do you typically? What would you pay for these kind of events?
So, like for the Grey Cup, I was paying I think I paid, when we did it, you can correct me because you bought the tickets. I think it was like $130 or something like that, but we bought them secondhand. I saw the second Grey Cup. I paid full price for it because I actually paid for it like right away.
Yeah.
Because I anticipated the Bombers to be in it, and they were. Generally, I try to get the cheapest because I'm there for the experience as opposed to being there to be like on camera or on TV. I'm there for the experience to be in the place that the event happens. So
Right. So the
I get
last show and the
cheapest.
first show, it's the same experience.
Exactly.
Of,
For
of
me,
like
it
the
is.
crowd, the noise, etc.
I actually find if you're like a halfway or 3/4 of the way up, you get a better experience because you can see the crowd. You can see the experience. Whereas if you're like 4th row, you're not feeling the same feeling that you get from behind.
So for me, I'm the same way. And I think my ticket for the Grey Cup was $99.
You and Matthew sat much higher than us.
I remember that specifically. I think
I was
we
second row.
I think we split the cost, and then we just took turns where we were sitting.
Yeah.
And I had no problem with our seats at the Grey Cup. They were great.
Yeah.
But for me, I travel a lot. I hear this all the time. Oh, you're traveling. You're just
You're
going.
always on the
Oh,
road."
you're always traveling. Which I mean, we do travel.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what a lot is, or people say too much. I don't know what that means. But I do buy tickets to sporting events and concerts cheap. I travel on a budget,
Yeah.
and I look for deals. I am a very frugal traveler.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll have to spend money if you want good things. For the most part, if you research enough, if you search enough, and this goes for all trips,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised
And how cheap you can do it.
inexpensive, and cheap, of course, is one of these words that
Yeah.
we don't use, but how inexpensive it can be. But people
On a
don't.
budget. Yeah.
People don't know that, right?
Yeah.
They think, oh, you're spending all this money, and of course you do spend some money and time, but you can really limit it. So I typically go as cheap, and I don't like the worst seat in the house.
No.
But we go for value. Like today, we're gonna get seats
We're in
upper
the 4th
deck.
row in the outfield in the 3rd deck,
Yeah.
which is technically really the 2nd deck in the stadium. And I was looking at the map, like the 3rd deck on the third base side is much higher than the 3rd deck in the outfield.
Yeah.
So we're within home run distance.
Yeah.
But we're also like we're in the middle of the
Yeah.
chaos.
So we're
as we weigh.
paying like $40 for a ticket to a
Yeah.
playoff game. Very reasonable.
Yeah, and the $40. So we're doing that.
Yeah.
We're also driving there.
Yeah.
Which is cheaper than flying.
Yeah, and Matthew said he's paying for all the gas.
And Matthew says he's writing it all off.
Right.
Who writes it off? Who knows? But Matthew writes it all off.
Yes, that's not going to cost us anything for the gas.
Not a cent.
Nope.
So we do split the gas 3 ways between the 3 of us. If there was 4 of us, it'd be even cheaper. We'd split it 4 ways.
Yeah.
Generally, if we were staying for the hotel, we would make sure that we're doubled up in the hotel, so it's half the price for the hotel.
But we're not even
But we're
staying
not
at a
even staying
hotel,
hotel this time.
so we can work tomorrow, and we don't have to pay the cost of a hotel. So
We just have to get back in time to work tomorrow. Yeah.
2 in the morning, we think.
Providing that the game goes well today, we might stay another day.
Oh yeah. This just in. Breaking information to me.
Nobody else knows except for me, because I'm driving.
You're literally not driving.
I will be driving. I have the key to the car.
Both sets.
So, both sets of keys. That is correct. Taylor?
Back to you, Taylor.
Back to Taylor. Yeah, so that's how we're taking this trip. And, people that say, you're going on trips so much, you're doing this. This trip's going to cost us gas and the ticket
Yeah. Plus
and
our,
our time.
yeah, and our day.
In our day, yeah.
Yeah.
So, luckily enough, like, I can work remotely. Matthew can work remotely. You
I can paint remotely.
you can paint houses while we're driving, apparently. Which is funny because when we were at the customs person, what do you guys do? We're all giving us, and then Tim goes, "I paint houses."
I paint houses.
I paint houses.
And she's like, no, she didn't say anything.
She
She didn't play bad eyelash.
She just said, "I can't scan your passport."
No. I got to get a new passport, actually. Mine expires in...
That's probably why she can't scan it.
No, there's a water stain on it.
Yeah.
True story.
So, So, since we're on a road trip, though, Tim, I want to know, what are some of your must-dos on a road trip?
So travel days are a bit different for me. Maybe it's the same for you. So
It's not.
if I'm trying to get somewhere,
Yeah.
I'm limiting the stops.
Yeah.
If they happen, like maybe a lunch stop.
So you limit your beverage intake.
Oh yeah, I had a coffee.
We
this
haven't even
morning.
opened these yet.
I had breakfast 4:10 in the morning, and I always have to. I have the same breakfast every morning:
Yeah.
3 eggs, frozen blueberries, natural peanut butter, coffee
Yogurt?
cream, no yogurt.
No yogurt?
No.
Okay.
Same exact breakfast for the last, I want to say, 20 years. Every
25
morning.
Splendas.
No, I'm switching to a stevia product actually.
Ooh,
Yep.
interesting.
My wife,
just in.
my wife got it from a friend that's in Mexico, and so the problem is for me, like if I have xylitol,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's bitter.
Yeah.
And I know that Splenda is not good for you.
Yeah.
But the taste of it, to me, is so good. I love it. Right. But the stevia product she has, it's like a tiny little bit you put in it.
Yeah.
And it actually makes it sweet, and it's not too bitter. So I think I'm onto something. But the problem is
see.
we can't get it anywhere. You can just get it in Mexico.
I guess
So-
we got to go to Mexico.
I'm going to be in Mexico March 7th for 1 day.
Matthew's going to Mexico with his sausage party. I mean, men's trip.
So, anyways, I got to find this stuff in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's like this little. I
Okay,
can show.
so-
Next episode, I'll bring it and I'll show it to you.
We're so far off track. What do you do on the road trip?
So we're
haven't
not
even got on the road yet.
we're not really off track. So I limit my beverages. I don't like
Yeah.
to stop a lot.
Yeah.
Because I want to get you want to get to your location. Today it's Minneapolis. Often it's Minneapolis for us too.
So generally, we'd stop once
Yeah.
in Fargo and then keep on going.
And if there's typically if we want to stop for lunch, we'll pick a place that we really enjoy. Typically it's Jimmy John's. Right now we won't be stopping there today because by the time we get there it's only 10. They only
Pardon?
open at 11.
Well, we won't be stopping at
By
this
the time
one.
we
We'll be
get
stopping at the one
to the
in-
place that
in
would
Minneapolis.
we usually
There's
would.
one
Yeah.
right outside the stadium that we're going to.
Okay, so we'll be hitting a Jimmy John's,
That's
and you might see something from that later on in
That
the
will
episode.
be in the video.
So that's the travel day. So there's not a lot happening in travel days. I'm not having to stop. Maybe not usually shop. Yeah, sometimes we'll shop if we go to Albertville. We'll stop. Lululemon, we found some really good deals the last time we came in.
So are we stopping there?
We'll see. I'm said we
We're
should
not
be good.
we're not in the driver's seat anymore.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
We need to have specific stops though.
Yeah.
Because we need to have 5 to 10 minutes at each place
Exactly.
for various activities.
Yeah, push-ups.
Yeah. I have 20
beverages,
more to go.
bathrooms.
Beverages, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are your if you were, let's say, driving to Minneapolis today,
Which
we are.
We are. Yeah. For
What-
instance,
what's
if
what's your must stop?
to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Honestly, on travel days, you know what? I'm gonna say Caribou Coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's just something different. And like places like McDonald's, which I'll have coffee in Canada, their coffee in the States isn't the same.
Okay.
So we just kind of eliminate that. And I am a bit of an anti-Starbucks guy.
Yep.
I'm hoping to get some blowback from people. I'm not a Starbucks guy, so it's a bit different at Caribou. Still pricey though. I'll stick with the
I've
hotel
never actually
coffee.
gone to Caribou myself.
We've been there many times, but you refuse to get
I've
a Caribou
never-
coffee. Why
I've
you should get a Caribou coffee today?
Maybe we'll go in today.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is one on the way.
There's tons of Caribou coffees. If there's a Jimmy John's, there's a Caribou coffee somewhere close by.
I guess we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So this leads me to a different segment, Tim, and this is a surprise to you, and you haven't really been given the heads up. We're going to do something about Tim
What?
in a bit.
What? I'm surprised.
Now you're yelling. Now you're yelling, and nobody wants to hear you yelling.
Nobody wants to hear me
Especially
when
Matthew.
I'm too quiet.
Especially
Nobody wants to
Matthew.
hear me when I'm yelling.
Matthew does
And
not want to
Matthew
hear you
never
yell.
wants to hear me.
So I'm going to do a little game. Last week you said, I'm going to ask you 30 questions.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to rip off your segment.
He's going to ask me 60 questions.
I'm going to ask you overrated
Yeah.
or underrated.
Overrated or underrated? Underrated.
And I'm going to give you some topics. And you
Yeah.
tell me overrated, underrated, and why quickly.
What if they're properly rated? Is there 3 options
You
here?
can say properly rated if
So
you
the-
want.
So properly, over, Under.
So out of all of these, you only get 2 properly.
What if?
Nope, you got to pick over or under for the rest.
How many?
So
How
use your properly rated,
How many?
like 15.
15?
I think so.
I had 30 last week. You only prepared
This might take you
15.
a little bit longer to answer, though.
All right,
So-
roll the
Roll the intro.
intro.
Let's do this. Overrated or underrated?
Oh, I love our intros. So first
Clock
one,
starts now.
sports trips,
Underrated.
and why?
You didn't tell me there'd be a why.
I said I'd like to know overrated, underrated, and why in a quick sentence.
Okay, let's start. Let's start again.
Okay.
I did. You didn't.
I did
you didn't
say
tell
it.
me
You
the
just
rule.
didn't
No,
listen.
no. You didn't tell me the
You
rules.
just didn't listen.
No. Did you
I
tell
did.
me beforehand?
I did.
That you'd be saying and why?
Yes. You
Okay.
tell me overrated, underrated, and why. We will listen to it back
Was
later.
I just not listening to what you
That's
said?
Correct. You weren't listening.
No. I have to answer why to every single question.
Just a quick thing. And if you don't have one, just say overrated, underrated.
Okay.
And I'll skip. Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready now? Are we going to restart that clock? Clock is
Clock
going now.
Now,
Sports trips.
properly rated.
You're going to use one of your 2 properly rated right off the bat.
Correct.
Jimmy John's.
Overrated.
Oh, pineapple on pizza.
Overrated.
Oh, really? Why?
It's fruit on pizza. It's not
I love pineapple.
really all that.
Cats.
Uh,
Not the musical.
overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with you. Like, what kind of value are they
Some
creating?
cats do. TikTok.
Overrated.
Reading books.
Underrated. I need to do more of it.
You need to, eh?
Yeah, I like reading, but I just never do it.
This is a good one here. Crocs.
Overrated.
Overrated? Why?
I don't wear them.
Because you don't own
I'm
a pair.
ignorant on the topic.
You don't own a pair. Chocolate.
Underrated.
Ooh. Coffee.
Underrated.
Meditation.
Underrated.
Really?
Everyone does it. People don't realize it, and you should be doing it. It doesn't matter if it's religious or otherwise.
Yeah.
Meditation's important.
Religious or otherwise.
Yep.
Reality TV shows.
Overrated.
You don't like reality TV
I
shows?
can't stand them.
Really?
Yep.
Traveling.
Underrated.
Of
It's such a
course.
great thing in life to go somewhere
It's not
and
properly rated?
experience life with friends and family.
You don't think it's properly rated? It's just,
No,
it's underrated.
these are all personal opinions, obviously.
Yeah, that's why we're asking.
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory.
Properly rated. I love the Cheesecake Factory. It's underrated because a lot of people haven't been there.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna change my
I
answer.
don't know. So
Yeah.
you say underrated.
Oh, the food there is awesome. I only have one of the menu items, so I wouldn't know. But
So you might think that this is a similar
I've
thing.
been to the Cheesecake Factory like I want to say 50
Every time.
times and had the exact same menu item every single time.
I know. I've been with you. You might think this is similar to the previous ones, but road trips.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Same reason I said about traveling. It's the same thing.
The Toronto Blue Jays.
Oh, they're properly rated because they're up and down and they drive me nuts. So they can't be either one. They got to even out.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
This year particularly, properly rated.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's all your properly rated. You got 3 left. Taylor Swift. And there's only one right answer. If you say the wrong answer, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm gonna say underrated.
Overrated. Overrated.
Listen, no.
Her tickets are $900
So,
a ticket.
so music is all about preference. I mean, you can argue all you want, but she's the master of marketing.
okay.
Like I say, it doesn't matter who it is. But
That's why I'm saying overrated.
musically, of course, vocally, there's 1,000 different artists that are better than her. I'll
Yeah.
admit that, and she would admit that too.
Yeah.
But how she markets her show, and by the way, she doesn't charge thousands of dollars. It's
No,
the
it's the
second-hand
resale.
scalper. and
That's why I'm saying it's overrated.
That's not her fault. Well, if you buy a ticket for $10,000, that's your fault. You're a
I
bonehead,
guess,
not hers.
the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right now they're overrated because Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes aren't getting me a lot of points, and I'm 0-4 in one of my leagues with those two.
Okay. And the last one for overrated, underrated, our podcast.
Oh, underrated.
100% it's underrated.
Seriously, you're like, why aren't people on board?
You gotta
Like,
rate this
there's
properly.
you,
Yeah.
and there's me. What could be better?
What could be better other than you yelling in a microphone? I will be adjusting the sound
This
a lot.
week, you're too damn loud, Tim.
You are very loud.
I'm just
The microphone's right in front of you. Are you cramping up?
no. It's just a matter of it's
Are you-
hard. It's hard
are
to sit
you,
somewhere so this lands a certain place.
Cramping up. I found it perfectly fine.
Okay, you know what I feel like doing now that like we have these mics.
What's that?
I feel like the sports announcers. I want to be like Buck Martinez and start doing a game or something. A Jays game.
Yeah.
I feel like one of those setting up the
Or-
game today.
What's his name? Chris Matthews? Chris Matthews? Back, and gone!
Something like that.
What does Buck Martinez say?
I don't know. What does he say?
He says, what does he say? Get a ball,
Yeah.
and gone! That's the Buck Martinez way.
I feel like setting up the game. Game 2 pitcher for the Jays is Jose Barrios. He has an excellent mark against the Minnesota Twins, his ex-team, as he goes to tie the series at 1.
We are recording, Matthew. He doesn't know the difference between us recording and us just chatting.
It's like listening to Dave doing any call, anytime, anywhere.
So we had a little break in the episode here because we had to let Matthew take his phone calls. He's a very busy realtor.
We didn't take phone calls.
I would tell you his real estate company if he was sponsoring our show.
Right. I would say
Brought to you
I would
by
say bad things about every other real estate company
if Matthew
if
was
Matthew
sponsoring
was
the show.
sponsoring the show.
But this show is actually brought to you by Sandman Painting.
It is?
It is.
Awesome.
I'm going to put a link down below so they can contact you
Fantastic.
with your personal phone number. And if they want a quote for their painting,
Right.
Is that okay? Do you want that?
I'm going to get a bunch of people saying I'm not loud enough. And spam. Lots and lots of spam.
So Tim has a painting company called Sandman Painting,
I paint houses.
and he paints houses, as we know from the first 5 episodes,
Outside, inside, every side.
around the sides. And yeah, he's got a link below to contact him by email, and you can email him if you would like a quote.
Awesome. I
Does
appreciate
that sound
buddy.
cool?
That's
High
awesome.
five.
High five.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice. How much? We'll see.
So, yeah, that's why we were in a little bit of a break here, and it might sound like we're switched from, a little bit earlier to now, but Matthew ruined it for everybody.
We were on a break.
We're on a break. If you're not following us on Instagram, though, you must.
Why?
Because
Why aren't they? If they're not, and you're
Because they're-
listening now, why wouldn't they?
exactly. The Instagram stories that we're going to do today are going to be funny, sad, awesome, excited, just overall an amazing time.
You will laugh.
You will cry.
It will become a part of you.
A part of me.
Yeah.
So if you're not following us on Instagram, be sure to, because we'll always be posting on our stories there. So that's at Greg and Tim Show.
And not only follow us, tell every one of your friends to follow us.
Yeah, share it.
Share it.
We might do some giveaways soon.
We will do some giveaways.
We're gonna do some giveaways soon if you share it. But just share it just for fun right now. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit that like button and the subscribe button so that we can get your earballs filled with Tim and Greg
Absolutely.
on the Greg and Tim Show.
On the Greg and Tim Show.
That's correct. So Tim, let's transition to the next segment. Roll that intro music.
Time for the segment. Something you don't know about Tim. Do go on. Tell us more.
Oh, it's over.
It's over. So,
I was doing my happy dance.
Tim, tell us something about you we don't know.
So we are on a trip now. So I'm going to tell you a trip story.
Yeah.
And some of my friends know this story, but I have to tell it because every time I go across the border, I'm reminded about 20-year-old Tim, who did not know the world existed past Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so this is the story of the first time that Tim Sanderson went across the border.
Yeah.
And I was with my friend Jason
Okay.
my friend Carla,
Here we go.
and we were with one other person, Kelly.
Kelly, a boy or a girl?
She is a girl.
Okay, so 2 guys, 2 girls.
And we went for a trip to Grand Forks. It was the first time crossing the border for me.
For you, yeah. They let you across this time.
So that's the story. This time they let me across. So we all got to the border, and everybody had their proper identifications. And I had my Bills video card, Bills on Henderson, which is now Triple
video card.
which is now Triple B's Billiards, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? Is it still Triple B's?
I thought it was. Maybe it's changed, switched hands again. But,
Interesting.
it used to be called Bill's Video, and I had a card to rent, just like Blockbuster.
So you gave them your rental card.
And so I didn't. That's all I had on me was my Bill's video card, and they said back to Winnipeg for you. And 3 people in the vehicle wanted to throw me out of the vehicle. We had to drive all the way back to Winnipeg for me to get the proper identification that had a picture and numbers and letters on it and everything.
And you did it.
And we did. So I'm surprised they didn't just drop me off and dump
Tell
me
you to
there.
get somebody to drive you home.
And there's more to that trip that I'll tell at a different story, but it involves spray cheese and Mr. Noodles and a sauna.
And a sauna?
Yeah,
Spray cheese, a sauna, and what?
and Mr. Noodles.
Mr. Noodles. Fantastic. Those
And
are
my
all.
wife was on this trip.
So
And
that's
Matthew's wife was on this trip.
yeah.
Well, not wife at the
At the
time.
time.
She was very single and
Very,
ready to
very-
mingle.
Yes, that's my story.
That's a pretty good story.
Yeah.
Did you know back in the day, I went on a road trip to Grand Forks as well to get a DirecTV receiver. Do you remember DirecTV?
Absolutely.
And we got to Grand Forks, and this was the heyday of DirecTV in Canada.
Yeah.
They were all sold out.
Oh,
So I said, let's go to Fargo.
Yeah.
So my parents and I drove to Fargo, and they had them. They had piles of them at the front door of the Walmart. So I get one.
Yeah.
And I put it in my car. And because it's made in the U.S., there was no duty, no taxes, or anything like that. We get to the border. The guy in front of me had probably 45 DirecTV boxes in the back seat of his car. You could see them. You could see them piled up in his whole back of his car. It was just him and DirecTVs, because they were reselling them in Winnipeg for so much cheaper, because you could pirate their stuff at the time. I didn't pirate it. I didn't pirate their stuff. I paid full price. And it was when you can get American satellite in Canada. You had to have an American address to subscribe, but people were just scamming the cards. So this guy had a big, because you didn't have to pay duty on them.
cable TV is one of those things that in our lifetime has seen such transition. Hey, when we were a kid, and you had the TV with the rabbit ears. I had a black and white TV to start when I was a young kid, and we had 4 channels. We had CKND, CTV, CBC, and then sometimes you could get KNRR from the US, and it was barely.
There was that, and then we also I was growing up in 1988 in Thompson. My dad got a cable box for the top of our TV because our TV only went to channel 12. And he got a box, and then the cable plug into that, and he's like, we got YTV and Much Music Now. And I remember this. I came home for lunch, had a grilled cheese sandwich, and my dad was in front of the old wooden TV that we had, the big wooden TVs. I think it was probably a 30-inch. Yeah. And we all of a sudden we could get up to 99 channels with this cable box.
I remember that time where it went from 4 channels to 90.
Yeah, and then satellite became very popular, and then now we've got every channel under the sun if we want.
And now really cable is
dying,
going extinct. We've gone from 4 channels, like I said, when we were a kid, to the cable is it going to exist in 20 years?
Yeah, I think it will. I think that cable is just going to evolve to the point where right now it is basically become streaming, right? So you're going to subscribe in pieces now to different streaming services. And I think cable will go away, but cable will sell the streaming.
Right.
So cable will sell Disney Plus and all the other places. So if Disney Plus wants to pick us up. No? You don't want to be picked up by Disney Plus? What would you rather? Apple TV Plus, Disney Plus, Netflix, Prime?
Yeah.
Prime. Anyway. So, Tim, we have one more segment. And it is a segment that we haven't named yet. And we don't really even care to name.
So far, we've had a lot of two of my daughters. Avery has her own spot. She's well on her way to fame and fortune through our podcast. And Raina, we've talked about her too. But I have a third daughter. Did you know that? I have a third daughter. She's the middle child, so I think middle children are used to be. Is that what they say about middle children? They're kind of forgotten. They're not the youngest.
That's not all they say about middle children. They're also.
What else do they say?
I don't know. I thought you would tell me.
Maybe people can tell us. I have no idea what you're talking about. So we're going to do something different. We're going to call Taylor.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I don't know what to say here. Let's just call Taylor.
Oh, I got to press this button.
Hello?
Hello? Taylor?
Hey, Taylor.
You're on the air, Taylor, with the Greg and Tim show.
Okay.
So we have a couple of things to ask you.
They're burning questions.
Burning questions that the viewer would like to know about Taylor Sanderson.
What viewer?
We have many viewers.
Multiple viewers that have inquired about your availability.
Yes. So.
Can you tell me their names?
Joan, Frankie,
Joni,
Johnny,
Adam,
Frankie, like your fanny pack?
and Billy.
Javon,
yeah.
That's not true.
These are all real people.
Yeah. First question. I understand that you have a new job, a new full-time job. Can you tell us where that is?
I work at my chiropractic office.
I heard a rumor that you get, not only do you get free adjustments in chiropractic, but any potential boyfriend you have in the future will also get free adjustments. Is that correct?
That is so totally correct, Timothy.
Okay, well
Timothy, I thought you were father.
Yes. So this is a shout out if anybody would be interested
in Taylor.
I'm not that desperate. Like, we don't have to, like...
It's too late. It's already live.
Yeah, it's already out there in the Introverse.
Second thing is, we also want to know, because this segment's already gone longer than we wanted it to.
Right. How long you wanted to. We talked about this.
Yeah.
Okay. The second thing, what was that, Greg?
What happened to the keys?
Oh, there was a story that you took both sets of car keys.
I had a brain fart moment where I just took all the keys with me.
So you were driving the truck with the truck keys, but you also had not one, but two sets of keys to the car, which you were not driving in. Is that correct?
Well, I drove it the previous day, so I forgot to hang it up.
Right. And your mother laughed and laughed.
So for all those people that are interested, Taylor has these are the things that Taylor brings to the table.
Yes.
No, I bring more than what he's going to say.
She steals car keys when she's not using them.
Right.
She offers free chiropractic care to anybody who is her boyfriend.
Well, technically, the chiropractor does.
You have to be nice to me. You can't just,
She also is horrible at Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, yes. Not a very good Trivial Pursuit.
She was the worst Trivial Pursuit player in the world.
Yes.
When did I play Trivial Pursuit?
At church.
Do you, Tim, think that this is enough Taylor for the whole year? Or do you think we're going to have her on again?
You know what? I think Taylor has done a good job, and she's very interesting. Is that a question?
Yeah, let's ask the question.
Okay, ask the question.
Does the audience want more Taylor?
Less Taylor?
Or just this Taylor?
Or this is the amount of Taylor they would like.
And if you'd like to date her, her phone number is in the description below. and she's taking all inquiries today. We'll also post a picture. There's the picture of her.
Right.
It's a very,
He's gonna put the worst picture I've ever taken.
flattering picture. It's a very flattering picture.
Okay.
That picture is great.
That picture's fantastic. And finally, we have a final question. Greg has the most important question for you. Go ahead, Greg.
I don't know what I don't know what the question is.
Greg wants to know what your favorite sports team is,
Right.
Taylor.
What is your favorite sports team, Taylor?
Nebraska Cornhuskers women's volleyball.
Not a sports team.
That is a sports
Taylor.
team.
Thank you for
That's a
joining us
sports
today.
team.
All right.
Shout out John Cook.
Shout out to a Nebraska Cornhusker.
There we go. Have a good day.
Bye,
Yeah,
Taylor.
you too.
Stop stealing keys. Bye.
Well, that was a fantastic conversation with Taylor, Tim. Thank you for calling her.
Absolutely.
The sun's out.
The sun just came out. The days we left it and it was raining.
It was cloudy and dark
and then it stopped and then it's
because
been
it was
off and
also
on.
morning.
And the sun seems like it's trying to come out. Like the day is trying to tell us something.
I think it's trying to tell us that it's going to be a beautiful day.
I think so.
Well, we're on the road. We're almost to Minneapolis.
But I think we're about an hour from Albertville, where many, many people like to stop and shop.
Stop, shop, and roll.
And do push-ups.
And Tim will do his last 20 push-ups.
Got 20 left. So I'm going to do it in the Lululemon store. That'd be funny. Just drop.
I want to remind everybody.
Push-ups.
We're going to have a separate video of this whole trip. So if you want to click on that, if I have it done by the time I have the podcast done, it'll be linked below. If not, just subscribe and make sure that you know when stuff's coming. Does that make sense?
You gotta subscribe.
You gotta subscribe.
Like that's really what we're trying to say here.
If you're not subscribed to our show,
and not just subscribe.
Why?
Not just subscribe. Be active. Ask us questions.
Comment on the show.
Yeah.
Press the little comment button. Tell us how bad I am, or tell us how bad Tim is.
Tell me how quiet my voice is. Tell me silly questions that I ask.
One guy actually said, "The mic is not a prop. Use it." That was good. I liked that comment. I actually clicked like.
You did?
I did.
That hurts.
Does it really though?
Yeah, a little bit.
We like the comments, so keep the comments coming if you wanna do them.
Yeah.
And Tim, I want to know one more thing. What's another show from your childhood?
Rocket Robin Hood.
Rocket Robin Hood. Okay, well.
Rocket Robin Hood.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.
Together.
Maybe.
All kinds of weather. And
because you
I
are
don't know
off key.
the words of the song.
Thank you for joining me today, Tim. I think it went well. I think the whole thing went great.
Skull, fucking skull.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. See you again next week. Remember to share, like, and subscribe.